Hey guys, Sleepy Reader here, coming to you from I should call myself Grouchy Reader, coming to you from the Grouchy Cave, high above the city of Portland. Um, yeah, I'm gonna kind of piss on some comic books a little bit, but there was stuff I liked. But I still am in that kind of grouchy phase that I talked about in some earlier videos. One comic book I picked up this past week was Extermination #1, a dollar comic book, science fiction, beautiful cover. I just grabbed it and I had to try like about 4 times to actually finish it. I found it a muddy mess. I don't think it was worth $1. So there you go. Picked up the Hulk. I've been wanting to jump on board the Hulk, and this was the beginning of a series called Mayan Rule. I thought this cover was really cool. The art's by Dale Eaglesham, who I really liked on the Fantastic Four and a few other places. So I thought it would be fun to pick up. And the art was very nice. But if you look at even this big double splash page, it's just a picture of all the superheroes in the story standing there. They're not doing anything. Nothing's even about to happen. We immediately flash back to another sequence where a little bit of something happens. This is a superhero story with lots of superheroes in it, so it could be kind of fun on that level, but there's nothing besides the story of fighting the bad guys. There's nothing even about the Hulk of interest, the Red Hulk, who is General Ross, and he's trying to atone for his sins now. But I didn't feel anything reading this, so I don't think I'm going to continue with the Hulk. At least not there. It was from the previous week, but I got Hulk Smash Avengers #5 of 5 this week. Another great cover. And by an interesting artist, especially to do the Avengers and the Hulk, Michael Oeming. They don't even have the credits in here. Well, the credits are... Oh, there he is. Michael Avon Oeming. And Fred Van Lente was the writer. And the art's kind of nice, but it doesn't work well for action. It doesn't work well for the superhero parts too much, especially the Hulk. And the story itself was just an okay filler between other issues, but a filler on issues in the past. I had such high hopes for Hulk Smash Avengers just to be fun, and it was just sort of okay in most issues. There were a few fun issues. So that's over with. Trio #2. I liked Trio #1 a lot. I still enjoyed this trio. Still don't like the coloring so much. I thought that the John Byrne art was very good. He gave us this really nice monster destroying a city. That was cool. But the story as a whole didn't progress very much. It seems like for the second time in 2 issues, we saw this woman Paper get easily wiped out. And we learned very little more about the world or anything like that. And I think part of the problem is a $4 comic book. If I had, bought this back in the day when comic books were 50 cents, I think it would seem fine. I'd just sure go ahead to the next comic book. But Trio's kind of on the fence list. I'll probably buy a few more issues, but unless things get moving, unless something more happens than just some fights that they're losing against monsters, I'm not gonna stick with this too long. I don't know. I have mixed feelings again because I think it is John Byrne in some ways doing very well, but it seems like back when he did the Fantastic Four, for instance, he always was doing something new in each issue, and here there's a sense of treading water already by issue 2, and that makes me uneasy. Earth 2 I enjoyed the first issue of Earth 2. Issue 2 of Earth 2 already has me nervous that maybe this is not going anywhere particular. Um, there's a great opening scene with Mr. Terrific and some mystery villain, or a mystery to me anyway. The scenes between the Flash, or the guy, Jay Garrick, who's going to become the Flash, and Mercury are okay, but kind of exposition heavy. And then there's some kind of cool stuff when he first becomes the Flash, but it just didn't seem like enough. Again, I'm in my post Watchmen. I want comic books to be a richer experience. The art was fantastic. I like the art even better in this issue than in the first issue. Um, the gay romance just was bland. But I think that may be okay in the longer run, because I assume something bad is going to happen to his lover, which is going to be a motivating factor for Alan Scott, who's about to become the Green Lantern. Um, like, there's some kind of weird stuff, and maybe again it's some context because I don't know enough DC lore, or I'm not picking up on something, but the Flash's big first act of heroism is to scoop up a bunch of rats that are attacking people in a back alley. I mean, how often does that happen? What's going on there? Maybe there's some clue there. Um, the Hawk Girl looks cool. So there's cool things in here, but all together we're just given little bits. And some of it's good and some of it's eh. So I'm also on the fence with Earth 2. Huntress Power Girl. I loved the first issue. The second issue is fine, but it's kind of treading water. There's beautiful artwork by George Perez. It seems like George Perez is really putting his all into this book. I think he does about 2/3 of the art in here, and then 1/3 is by another artist who's perfectly fine. But and they use him for flashbacks, so that artist is fine too. But the George Perez art really has me excited. But this is a treading water issue too. They're not wanting to give us too much in each issue. So we have this villain that showed up in the last page of the first issue, and we don't learn a whole lot more about him. We get a fight with him that's pretty good. We don't learn anything more about Huntress and Power Girl's situation than we really learned from the first issue. So I'll definitely continue to pick this up, especially as long as George Perez is drawing it and doing such a great job. But I wish I had got a little more from this. So, and I think I've heard some people, really hate this, and it might be because they already know Huntress and Power Girl how they used to be. I know nothing about Huntress and Power Girl. I'm familiar with some parts of the DC universe, and I just always avoided Power Girl and just for whatever reason never picked up on Huntress. So I'm fine with them being completely different characters, and so I'm interested in these characters. I just want the comics to move along more. Epic Kill, I saw this in the new comic book section at the store, and I thought I really loved this cover. I thought it was really good, and I suddenly remembered that I heard some YouTubers say some good things about the first issue, and I want to be buying more Image comics. I think they're doing a lot of interesting things. So I grabbed this, and then I went and looked for the first issue, and there it was, a second printing with this cover. Kind of a crotch shot, basically. Who cares about the face of our hero? And let's feel like guys who are drooling over teenagers. So I was pretty unhappy with that cover, but I bought it anyway. I was just quickly grabbing things, and I like this cover so much. And I did enjoy reading Epic Kill, both issues. It's kind of a wacky, over-the-top Kill Bill meets La Femme Nikita and some other things like that, all mixed together. Pushing the envelope on believability all the time, but fun. I'm still not sure where it's going, and that's part of the fun of it. But really, that cover, I worry it says something bad. And then on the inside, we've got another picture. It's very well done, but the whole point of it is to look at her ass. I mean, we don't even care about her head again. Part of me, just because of this cover, wishes I had bought it. But I will keep buying Epic Kill. Hopefully no more covers like that. This is a great cover. And it's really well drawn, and it's fast-paced. It's an interesting read. So it's a good, fun comic book, I guess just for guys. Although it's all about an 18-year-old girl who kicks ass beyond belief. And it's stories about people who have amnesia are always interesting. She has amnesia, so I enjoyed that somewhat, or quite a bit. And then Dial H #2 has like my favorite cover of the last few months. It's by Brian Boland, and it's wonderful. And these are kind of throwaway heroes shown on the cover that we see in the first 2 pages of the book as the hero's trying out his new power with dialing H and seeing what happens. But that sets the tone and makes this a very fun book. And the artwork, while different than Brian Boland's, I think is even better than issue 1. And the story, I wanted to show more of the artwork. There's just the artist is always doing something cool and new on each page. So it's really, if you're a fan of interesting artwork, it's definitely worth going for. The story progresses nicely. I think the main flaw, or the big flaw, is that we just don't have a whole lot to care about this character whose name I can't even pronounce, Nelsie or something like that. I don't think they say his name too often, and I assumed that this took place in England because the writer was British and everything seemed just not like America to me. But now they mention dollar bills and stuff, so I guess this does take place in America. So the problem with the character is he's this total loser, and he seems to have no good qualities. Most of us losers have all kinds of interesting little qualities that make us lovable. But there's nothing much to root for here, except maybe that he cares about his one friend, who happens to be a gangster, who now the other gangsters have turned against. But that bit of interest is eliminated by the end of the issue. So I'm wondering how we're going to continue caring for this character. My hopes are rising, though, with this. It was a lot of fun to read. And maybe the writer will continue to improve here and continue to click with the story. And I'm guessing that after 6 issues or so, we'll move on to another character discovering the Dial H. So I'm keeping an eye on this. It's sort of on the fence also, but for the moment, closer to off the fence and into the yes, keep buying for sure pile. Epic Kill, I'll keep buying Epic Kill. It's a 6-issue miniseries. I definitely want to know what's going on. And then, so as you can see, I'm progressing to what I thought were the better comics as I go. I reread The Minutemen. Still view it with very mixed feelings. Loving it or liking it a lot in places, and then really thinking that there's nothing going on here that hasn't already been done by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons much better. And feeling unable to tell if anything is going to happen here more than already happened in the Watchmen book. But the opening sequence is quite intriguing and seems to imply we're going to learn something else about the first Owlman and about the Minutemen that we haven't been told before. Except after writing that intro, Owlman himself says this is terrible and decides what we just read won't go into his book, and we get no further clues in the rest of this issue that he is going to tell us anything more than what we already know. He mostly tells us he wants to paint a positive picture, although then we go ahead and see all the negative stuff that we did see in The Watchmen, maybe done in a more a less in-your-face way than Watchmen would have done it. I liked the coloring a lot. Some people who I respect didn't like the coloring, but I like this sequence with the red hood and the muted colors and just red. I thought the coloring worked very nicely in the sequence with Night Owl. Was I calling him Owlman? With Night Owl on his first adventure. And there's a lot of appealing artwork here. I think Darwin Cook is doing some of his best work in this issue. So that definitely, I appreciated that more on a further read, and it makes me want to continue with this book just for the art, if the art keeps up at this level. It's a bit inconsistent. There's some pages which are really brilliant and have really innovative layouts, and others which don't. But I'm now on the side of saying I'm going to continue reading Minuteman, and I'll probably continue to enjoy it. And then I've been buying some Kaboom comic books in hopes of reading them with my daughter. It's included, Peanuts and Richie Rich and some other things. And I grabbed Snarked, which my comic book dealer said, oh yeah, that would be great for your kid too. And it probably would be good for an older child. My daughter, who's 4 years old, can understand a lot of stuff if I'm reading it along with her and pointing things out. But this is too complicated and too kind of quirky a story, I think, for her. But I really loved it. And I think I'm going to go back and find more Snarked issues. The artwork is, for what it seems perfect. I never saw the artist make a single mistake. Every panel looks great. Every character is drawn perfectly every time. The style, just the way the line work goes, thick and thin and all the right places. It's full of Alice in Wonderland references, maybe references to other things too that I'm less familiar with. But I really enjoyed it. And even when you're not fully understanding what's going on, the dialogue and and eventually I did, I'm coming in on issue 8, eventually I did start figuring out what was going on. But the dialogue and the artwork are so entertaining, panel after panel after panel. So if you at all like kind of a wacky, goofy kids type of plot, but with a kind of density of that stuff, Snarked is really worth checking out. So that gave me a lot of pleasure. And I also just finished catching up on my Wonder Woman, and I continue to think Wonder Woman is one of the best comics out there, and definitely, well, it might be my favorite comic of the New 52. There's some others other things that I need to catch up on. This week I also bought Stormwatch, which is not nearly up to Wonder Woman, but I enjoy Stormwatch. But I am about 3 issues behind on that, so I can't review that. And I just grabbed Red Lantern since it crosses over Stormwatch. I haven't read any Red Lanterns yet. And I grabbed Animal Man, which I've been loving, but I am several issues behind on that also. So, if you watched my earlier videos, or my last video was a haul from Nucadia, picking up a lot of New Gods, post Jack Kirby New Gods, Fourth World comics. And today, my daughter, much to my pleasure, begged me for us to go back to Cosmic Monkey Comics, which has a play area and lots of figurines. So she wanted to go play there while I bought comic books. So while I was there, I picked up some more fairly inexpensive books in my New Gods quest. So the second the second volume or second series of New Gods, written by Mark Evanier. I picked up the last 2 issues that I need in that run, so I have the full 28 issue run now. I picked up issue 21 and I picked up issue 25. So now I have all of that. And I also picked up some more Orions. So I believe that I now am only missing 4 Orions out of the 25 issue run. I picked up issue 14. This is the run written and drawn by Walt Simonson. So I think it's the one I'm most excited about to get to, although I hope to read them all in order as I'm quickly filling out all of the post-Kirby ones in order. And I have reprints of all the Kirby New Gods. I actually owned a few Kirby New Gods a long time ago, and somehow they seem to have gotten lost. So, what's that? I got Orion 14. Oh, and they're not in order. I got Orion 11, and then I got Orion 14. I got Orion 18. Orion 23. And Orion 24. So I'm pretty excited with my little New Gods collecting hobby. That's going very well. One other thing that, on a positive note also, my daughter and I watched a lot of episodes of Brave and the Bold this weekend. And they're a little bit more violent than I would like her to watch, but she's so into superheroes right now. And we were searching for any cartoon that featured a female character. So we found one that had Mary Marvel in it, and we found an episode that had the Huntress, and that also had the Blue Beetle, and then she was taken by the Blue Beetle, so we dug up some other Blue Beetle episodes. And the great thing about The Brave and the Bold is I, at my great age, and she at 4, both of us can enjoy it thoroughly. That's a really well done comic book that captures just kind of a wacky spirit of the way you wish the 1950s Batmans were. So anyhow, that's it for this week. I see I've gone on much longer than I planned. I was trying to do quick reviews. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you all later.